Fam, what's going on? It's Kyle Henderson, Bama football on YouTube. Could I get a roll tide inside the comment box? Today is Monday. Today is January 13th. I hope that you are having an amazing start to this week. I hope you had an amazing weekend. Hope you had a chance to rest. I hope you had a chance to watch some Alabama basketball. Hope you had a chance to watch Bama and the NFL today. On the show, we're talking about the college football championship game. The table is set. You got Notre Dame taking on Ohio State in the college football championship game. We're going to talk about Alabama basketball as they are absolutely rolling at this point in time, ranked number 5 in the country. Coach Saban elected to the College Football Hall of Fame. Shocker, right? The GOAT being recognized for being the absolute GOAT. We're going to hit on some Bama in the NFL. Yo, did you see Derrick Henry stiff arm poor Minka, right? That was Bama on Bama crime. We're going to talk some Monday morning quarterback where I answer your questions that you guys have posted for me inside the community tab. Thank you to everybody for joining us today right here on Bama Football on YouTube, also available on podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, and of course we have a Facebook channel which is very active. So thank you very much again for being here. Let's get it going. I appreciate you guys locking in. All right. Look, this photo caught my eye. This was yesterday. Okay, Coach Kapilovic over here on your left, right next to Michael Carroll, and there were some other Alabama linemen that are up in the house. Did you guys see these steaks that they were eating? Right? Did you see these? Who had steaks this weekend? We did. All right, but not steaks like these. Yo, these are pretty thick for some big boys. So the whole crew, their offensive linemen, the new additions here. With Coach Kapilovic, and this is very common for Alabama football coaches. The host guys are just arriving in Tuscaloosa. They do this for Thanksgiving, for the holidays as well. Coach Kapilovic posted right here in this particular graphic with Michael Carroll. These photos are of Coach Kapilovic. You can follow him on his X account. But Michael Carroll, people are so excited about Keelon Russell, Dejon Lee, and rightfully so. You should be. As well as, I guess, some of the transfers that are coming in. While we don't know how good those guys are going to be, I think one of the guys who I'm most excited about overall coming in outside of Keelon Russell is probably Michael Carroll, to be honest. Look, this guy is a 5-star. I think he is somebody who still has a really high ceiling in terms of his overall development. But with that said, I think he's somebody that could also come in here and contribute early on. Now, when you look to Alabama's guard position, and we're not going to spend too much time talking about the offensive line on this particular show, but look, you have Cam Dewberry, who's coming in from Texas A&M, right? I would imagine that he has an upper hand maybe starting if Alabama had a game like this Saturday. And then you have Jaden Roberts, right, who's also coming back in 2025. But I think Michael Carroll and maybe like a Casey Poe, those are some guys who are maybe next in line and could push for those opportunities at that guard position. So it's always nice to see the big boys getting fed, and here they are posted. You know, they have, I don't know what they're having the sweet baby race for on the table, right? Looks like they're also, I couldn't see what else was on it. So it looks like there's some mac and cheese, baked potatoes, of course, and then the steaks. Look, have you ever tried A1 and Heinz? You mix it together. Look. The way that we do steaks up at the crib over here, we do a really good steak. In fact, we had steaks yesterday, but we like the fillets. All right, and what I do is I butterfly them, throw Worcestershire, a little bit of mustard, salt, pepper, and kind of just let the thin steak do itself. So, no, guys are eating, guys are feeling good, and it's good to see these guys having a little bit of camaraderie before we get to the fourth quarter program, which will start later this month. So the fourth quarter program, now that I'm thinking about it, the guys who first arrived, like the early enrollees and guys who are transfers, they will start working out with Alabama's strength and conditioning coach, David Ballou, probably at the back end of this month. So if you follow Alabama's football on Instagram and social media account, you will start to see fourth quarter videos, stuff on Instagram, probably the later part of January. That's when all that stuff happens. What's up? And good morning to everybody up inside the comment box. Samuel, Chris from New Jersey, Jeremiah Taylor, Dylan Washington, Rich B, Jeremiah. Yeah, man, sauce on steak is weak. And that's kind of the thing too. Like your steak should be able to handle itself, right? And I'm not gonna lie, I do like a little bit of A1, but a steak should be able to hold its own value based on the cut. And look, the higher grade the cut, like we went over the holidays and we had like a Wagyu and then there was a filet. It's tough to beat a filet, honestly. That's what T rolls with, and tough to beat a filet. So good to start out with the Alabama, early enrollees here for Alabama football having stakes with Coach Kapilovic. The championship game is set. I asked you guys a couple days ago, who do you think is going to win this game? I think it's heavy Ohio State over Notre Dame, right? I haven't even looked at an updated line. I would imagine, like 7.5? Is that too high? Is it 6.5? Is Notre Dame's defense going to keep it a little bit closer? I feel that the more likable of these two coaches is certainly Marcus Freeman. I think Marcus Freeman is a damn good football coach, and it's impressive to me that this is his third year with Notre Dame. So you look to the first time he got to Notre Dame, I think he lost his first couple of games at Notre Dame, and people wanted him quickly on the hot seat. You know how impatient we are, right? We already wanted we want Nick Sheridan fired. We wanted Kane Womack fired for a little bit. There's some people that also want Keelon DeBoer fired, right? It's like his first season. But the expectations here are so high. So, that's how we were raised under Coach Saban. But Marcus Freeman, what he's doing at Notre Dame is really impressive. And I was thinking about this. Notre Dame has somehow found a loophole in college football. I always talk about this. They don't play in a conference, right? So they don't have to play like a gauntlet of the SEC or the Big Ten or, I don't know, I guess the ACC, whatever it is. They can play whoever they want. They don't have to play a conference championship game, right? So you avoid that as well. And then did you see this as well? If you kind of dig into this, did you know that Notre Dame, let's say, because they're going to get some sort of playoff money, regardless if they win or if they lose. Like, for example, if Ohio State, whenever they get their money, they have to share that with the rest of the big conference. Notre Dame doesn't have to share any of that type of money because they're not a conference. So I was thinking, I was like, damn, and I always say this, and I've been saying this, lately a lot. It's like, I think based on how the college football playoffs are made, it would make sense for Alabama to go independent, get a TV contract with NBC, rake all that money, and keep all of it. But, they're not going to leave the SEC. But they're one of the only brands in college football that could, right? Texas, probably another one. I don't even know. I mean, is there, I guess, Michigan. But Alabama, literally, if you stacked it on NBC, you have Notre Dame playing whoever they wanted to play, and then Alabama or Texas right after that. That's how you make that TV money back. Look, I saw Marcus Freeman rumored to the Bears, or the Bears have interest in him. It's not surprising. NFL, it was Black Monday recently, right? When all the head football coaches get fired. Marcus Freeman's a hot name. Steve Sarkisian's a hot name. Dan Lanning's a hot name. But why would those coaches, even as much as college football is off the rails, none of those coaches would leave their posts because they have such a good thing going? Oregon, backed by all that Nike money. Texas, backed by all the Texas money. Notre Dame, no conference. I'm not leaving in the NFL, even though the NFL has more stability and more guardrails. Look, if you don't make the playoffs your first year in the NFL, you get fired. And look what just happened to Ryan Grubb. By the way, no real updates on Ryan Grubb. I know a lot of you keep wondering about Ryan Grubb and what is going to happen with Alabama's offensive coordinator. Well, Alabama's offensive coordinator right now is Nick Sheridan. Nick Sheridan is the one recruiting. Nick Sheridan is side by side with Coach Keelon DeBoer. Until we hear anything else on Ryan Grubb, which has it's been quiet. Have you seen anything else on Ryan Grubb? I haven't seen anything. Since after he was fired, I haven't seen anything. So that's your offensive coordinator. And that might make you uncomfortable that Nick Sheridan is your guy going into the season. But then on the flip side, we're going to talk about on the show is like, does your quarterback, dictate the new offense? We'll talk about it later. Ohio State should absolutely roll. Look, I have no idea who the better quarterback is. Will Howard, Quinn Ewers, Jalen Milroe. Each of those quarterbacks has their own upside, I guess. Will Howard, I knew he was going to throw an interception in that game eventually. I just saw before I jumped online, too, that Quinn Ewers is being approached by programs in college football to have him transfer from Texas and kind of come back to college football, kind of like Carson Beck. Will that happen? I guess. What is Carson Beck getting? What is he like getting? Like, was it $5 million, which is basically third round money? So that's why he's going to Miami, going to get paid, going to be able to, operate against the ACC, going to have an opportunity to get healthy. Carson Beck probably made the right move. For those of you wondering if Jalen Milroe is going to transfer, no, he's going to the NFL. However, as I've been looking at NFL mock drafts, and you can go and look at this as well, I have not seen Milroe once again in any first round predictions. None. So I don't know if that means second, third round, 4 through 7. We talk about that often on the show. I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine right now on Jalen Milroe in terms of where he's going to be drafted in the NFL. All right. And I don't know. I'm excited to watch this game. Not like overly excited, but look, it's college football. It's a championship game. I even asked T yesterday. We were talking. I was like, "Do you want to go and watch the game as media? Do you want to cover the game?" And because it's in Atlanta, right? We just drive over to Atlanta, be credentialed, do our live show from there. I think it could be cool, but at the same point, it's like it's not Alabama, but at the same point, it's like it's still college football. So keep you posted on that. I'm interested in the game. Not overly interested, but I think Ohio State was the team that we thought they were going to be, and they finally came together at this point in time. Look, this was a team that utilized their money to keep a lot of their players, almost similar to what Alabama's doing right now. Think about what Alabama's doing on the defensive side of the ball. None of those guys came back. A lot of them are coming back to win a championship game, but a lot of those guys are coming back because their opportunities to make money at Alabama was greater than them going into the NFL because they didn't have high draft grades. So Alabama is utilizing their money right now. Think about this. So I'm about to say, this is important, okay? Alabama, and I know because I think where Alabama's transfers coming in, they don't have like the highest transfer grade, and Alabama's not done taking in transfers. But Alabama's returning players is where that money is going. Right? Big money is going to these defensive guys that are returning for Alabama in 2025. That money is outweighing the transfers that are coming in my opinion. Now, we have no idea where that money is going, who's being paid what. Think about it. Are you paying LT Overton more than Nakai Hill-Green? Are you paying LT Overton more than Cam Calhoun? Damani Jackson, are you paying him more than Cam Calhoun? You see what I'm saying? Alabama's utilizing their money right now under this NIL and, pay for player, whatever you want to call it, on their defense. Now, I was just reading an article on Yahoo Sports about how NIL and how the universities now being able to pay their players with an allotted set of money is going to change going forward. It'll make your head spin. And we'll have another show kind of talking about the percentages that Alabama, for example, can utilize to pay the players and then also stack on NIL opportunities. They're trying to get away from pay for play, for example. But right now, we're still under this window. All right. Again, here's a look at Notre Dame's schedule. And when you look to this overall schedule, it wasn't challenging. I've showed this before. I think Alabama with this schedule would have had a really promising record as well. Alabama against Texas A&M. I have no idea right now who would have won that game, but they would have beat these other opponents for sure. All of them, in my opinion. Indiana, I guess, was better than Alabama at the end of the day. So was, you could say so was Georgia, but Alabama beat Georgia head to head. And then Penn State, I don't know. Penn State was better than Alabama. It's hard to admit some of this right now, but I guess these teams were. Right? I guess the Big Ten was better than the SEC. Moving on to Alabama basketball. Who had an opportunity to watch this game against Texas A&M the other night? Who's been following Alabama basketball? This team is a serious contender, starting at the bottom, okay? Like an absolutely serious contender. Now, the crazy thing is the SEC right now is so competitive. Tennessee ranked number 1, Auburn ranked number 2, Kentucky ranked number 6, Alabama and Kentucky play here pretty soon. I think it's this week in Rupp Arena, okay? Bama ranked number 5. And a lot of it has to do with Mark Sears and the overall play of him, but a lot of it also has to do with the fact that this team has played such a tough early non-conference schedule. They're so deep, and most of it is because all of it is because of this guy. What you have right now at Alabama basketball, probably the best coach, like for his age and like what he's been doing. I think I have a graphic that showcases this. Look at this. I don't know how to really properly put this together, but damn, like Nate Oates, like man, this dude, he is him. And where he's at in his coaching career and how he coaches this team and this mentality that he's instilled to Alabama basketball, this has been missing for such a long time. Yeah, I know those fouls were crazy. How many fouls were in the game? Wasn't there like it was like a right? There was Alabama had 40 fouls. I'm like, it was crazy. Eric D saying there's nothing to evaluate Penn State, Indiana being better than Bama. Eric D, I love you, bro, but I disagree, man. I think Penn State was better than Alabama for sure. It's hard to admit that because I'm so hard on James Franklin. Indiana, I don't know. Maybe that's a toss up. I know it's rough to talk about. But look at what Nate Oates has done real quick. All right. He was at Buffalo. Before that, what was he? He was coaching like Romulus high school basketball. So he's at Buffalo. He's one of those like tough teams to play. That's like a, 12 to, I don't know, 16 seed. And then he comes to Alabama basketball, and it was so fast how he got this program to where it is today. I mean, look at his overall record right now, right? In conference play, 65-28. He's already won 131 games here. His percentage winning at Alabama basketball is greater than at Buffalo. And now the expectations for Alabama basketball are a actual basketball title. When I first got here, that was not the case. Like making the tournament was something that you were excited about. Now it's like not even Sweet 16 is enough for us. And that's not, look, though expectations should always be high. It's just amazing what Nate Oates has done so quickly. He has utilized the transfer portal window well. He has developed players. He has been able to win with assistant coaches being picked from his team. Damn, man. Alabama basketball is just absolutely on fire right now. I think they're winning what? Have they won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games in a row? And look at this. Creighton, North Dakota, that team punched above their belt. That was a game strictly for Grant Nelson. That was dope. I love that. Oklahoma scored 107, beat Oklahoma, beat the brakes off them. And look at Sears recently, 22 points, 27 points. Against Texas A&M, despite all those fouls, still able to score over 94 points. I think they've scored over 90, 8 times? Hit 100 a few times already. In upcoming, this schedule's, it's tough. Ole Miss, Kentucky coming up. Yeah, so they play Kentucky here on the 18th. Which players do you like on this team? Right? Kind of jump. I mean, Jaron Stevenson has been balling out. He's won the Hard Hat Award a couple times. Think about if Sears didn't come back. Because I think he was like on the fence. Alabama clearly took care of him. Was able to give him, NIL or however these guys are being paid. Remember that game where Sears didn't even score a point? LeBaron Filon's, I mean, that guy's, man, he'd probably be able to hold it down if Sears wasn't here. He's that good. Grant Nelson is finally being that type of player we thought he was going to be. I like his play. Look, I know that Cliff Amore, this guy's a warrior, okay? His stats have been a little bit lower than I thought they would, but this guy, he absolutely battles. Diobate is nice. Aiden Holloway, Wrightsell. I mean, this whole team, this whole roster, man, this is probably the best compiled roster Alabama basketball's ever had. Is that wrong to say? But Grant Nelson's playing a hell of a lot better at this point in time than he was playing last year. So enjoy your Alabama basketball because you have Nate Oates, who is probably, one of the hottest coaches, if not the hottest coaches, in the SEC. Man, he's just it's just amazing to me what he's done so quickly. Here's the SEC basketball That's what I'm saying, Marvin. What's up, man? Probably the best team. That's what I think is the best team you've ever had. Um, Man, Corey's asking if Bama will beat Auburn. Basketball? Shoot, man. That game is going to be crazy. I think I was looking on the schedule. I don't think that they play. Yeah, right side out. Yeah, you're right, Jeff. Appreciate you, bro. And it's unfortunate because I like his game, but it's amazing. So, and I think a sign of a roster is when when you lose players like this, and you can get these guys off the bench. I mean, they are so deep, right? That's why I think they'll be able to battle for. I mean, they're a super serious contender for the whole thing. Auburn, this team, man, right now, 15-1, Alabama 14-2. Can you believe when I don't? Where do they play when they meet first? They play. Let me see. I think is it at the barn? Because I know they play in February. I'm looking at the basketball schedule on the other screen real quick. Does anybody have that date off the top of your head? All right, let's see. The first one's in Tuscaloosa on the 15th. So February 15th, Alabama will host Auburn. Who knows what they'll be at this point in time, but damn. Shoot. And you know what? The other thing is Nate Oates is able to battle against Bruce Pearl. Not a lot of coaches can say that. Carrick, I appreciate you, man. Looks like we got it just at time. D Harsh, what's up, man? Bama hater, I see you inside the comment box, man. Yeah, Miami and Alabama both outside of the playoffs. I would have loved to see that matchup in a bowl game. All right, Coach Saban into the Hall of Fame. You guys see this weekend? It was cool because the college football game day crew broke the news to Coach Saban. I think it happened right before. Did it happen before the Notre Dame game? I can't remember. But what I do remember is they gave him like a ball and they were like, congratulations. And Coach, as classy as he is, said, look, I drove the bus for a great organization. And when you peel back and you look to Coach Saban in his career at Alabama, man, like 1 year later, yeah, KTK, right? 1 year later, it's been 1 year without Coach Saban coaching Alabama football. And a lot changed, right? A lot changed. There's light going forward, we think. We didn't make the playoffs. Did the team get worse or better? You're only getting worse and better in life, right? I think they got worse. But you can get better. 7-time national champ, 11-time SEC champ. And you know what? I think there's a lot of people that clearly, probably, 90% of people out there appreciate like the now and like what he was doing when he was here. But sometimes when things are happening so often, I think in life, sometimes you kind of take it for granted. You're like, because when I first moved here, I always tell this story. People, the interest for Alabama football, despite them absolutely dominating, was kind of like mid. People were like, man, I don't even know who they're playing, but we know it's going to be a beatdown. And then college football started to change a little bit. And Saban, what he was able to do here for such a long time is just absolutely incredible. I mean, you look at these numbers by itself, right? 47 first round draft picks. That is crazy. And you know what? When was the last time? Can somebody look this up? When was the last time that Alabama didn't have someone drafted in the first round? Because I think that there will be a player drafted in the first round. I mean, there has to. Jahad Campbell or Tyler Booker. I would be shocked if those guys are not picked in the first round. But I was just looking at CBS, their mock draft this morning before I got on the show. I ain't seen one. The more mock drafts that I'm looking at, the less and less players I see in the first round for Alabama, which is just mind blowing. Does number one that mean that? Well, Kalen DeBoer just got here, but you're talking about like utilizing talent to the best of its ability or showcasing talent to the best of its ability, or does it mean that this team just wasn't as good as we thought they were going to be? So it's a 16-year streak that Alabama. Thank you, Samuel. Man, that you got to think that Jahad Campbell or Tyler Booker goes in the first round. Carlos is saying this team wasn't that talented. And now when you think about, the fact that they lost 4 games, the fact that these guys, and that there's not like 7 guys in the first round of the NFL, maybe they weren't that talented. Along with the coaching that was added onto it. Right? I don't know. But because I think Coach Caitlin DeBoer's team from Washington had like 10 taken overall in the NFL, as did Coach Saban. And this is like a news dump right now for all. There's still transfer portal stuff happening. I have my phone set to alerts for different people. I haven't seen nothing that notable. I guess Penn State's defensive coordinator is going to be the defensive coordinator at Clemson. And then I started thinking about this, and I had a video about this, and it got a little bit of feedback. But Coach Saban, in terms of like a college football commissioner, I don't know. I mean, while I think that Coach Saban has enough knowledge and expertise to talk the highest level of college football and things that could fix, I guess, the sport that we love, where we feel it's broken, maybe he couldn't. I don't know. I can't see him really doing it, because I think that where he's at right now, he is living his absolutely best life. I had no idea that he would he flourishes at every single thing that he does. Actually, him by himself, like breaking down film, isn't that interesting outside of you're like a coach. Like schematically, it's like, okay, you're like, wow, that's amazing to see him work. But for whatever reason, him with the game day cast, it's completely amazing. Right? Like him and Pat McAfee, who would have thought that we're missing that? Like this is like on Saturdays. How many of you have tuned in more because of college football? I bet because of Coach Saban on College Game Day. I bet you everybody says yes inside the comment box. KTK saying they had 3 picks in 2007. Is that first round? I'm just talking like first round. Here he is with Marshawn Lynch, right? Shane Gillis when he went at him when he was Indiana Saban, eating the tomahawk up here with Pat McAfee, and dressed as Penn State down here at the bottom right with Corso. Tony's like, everything I do is for Saban. He's the GOAT, man. You know what? We had an early taste of his overall success during the NFL draft this past year. Remember when he broke down all the players that he'd recruited? He totally stole the show on NFL draft. So while I think some of us would like him to see this college football commissioner, him come back and save everything, nah, he's living his best life. And I think it's provided happiness on Saturdays before the game watching Coach Saban. The more Coach Saban, the better, right? So Coach Saban, a Hall of Fame, rightfully so. Who saw this yesterday? Derrick Henry absolutely stiff-armed one of our favorite players, Minkah Fitzpatrick. Minkah Fitzpatrick is one of our favorite players. The guy was so nice. He was such a baller. He was everything that he did was top tier. You won the Thorpe Award. And you have Bama crime recently with Derrick Henry absolutely throwing Minkah down. Look, Minkah is a well-proportioned individual. He's a grown man in the NFL. Derrick Henry got him and just threw him down. Derrick Henry going to the Ravens, as soon as I saw, whenever he signed with the Ravens from the Tennessee Titans, I was like, what the hell? Because look, I'm even rocking the Derrick Henry mug today. By the way, you can get these at, I got this at Dick's Sporting Goods. Yo, Derrick Henry right now, he is absolutely still flourishing. He still has miles left, right? He's playing at such a high level. Yesterday in the playoffs, right? 186 yards with 2 touchdowns. On this season, right? He's going to have a 2,000-yard season. 1,900 yards already with 10 20-yard runs. And I think he has 5 runs that are over 44. He had a 44-yard run in this game. This might be the best he's ever been, which is crazy to think about. How old is Derrick Henry? And then I was looking at the NFL stats this morning in terms of like, God, he's 31. Damn, 31 years old and acting like this. Oof, man. 31, man, I remember those days. And somebody told me, as soon as you turn 40, like things will just start hurting on your body. Man, it was crazy because literally like the next day that I turned 40, it was like my foot or something like that just was hurting. I don't know if they got into my brain, but it was like as soon as I turned 40, I was like, ow. Man, 31 years old, Derrick Henry, absolutely killing it. Then I started diving into like other Alabama running backs that are within the top 15 of rushing. Look at this. So you have Derrick Henry, who's second in the NFL behind Barkley, right? I think Barkley has 2,000 yards already. And then look, Jahmyr Gibbs, 1,400 yards. He's still probably one of the biggest impactful transfers to come to Alabama, right? During that early transfer portal time, when he came from Georgia Tech, he has 1,400. Josh Jacobs, oh my goodness. You know what was crazy about Josh Jacobs here is he wasn't really utilized that much. He was never really like the ultimate featured back at Bama. Man, him with the Green Bay Packers he does work for them. 1,300 yards, and then you have Najee Harris who has 1,000 yards as well, right? Jalen Hurts was back after the concussion, and NFL playoffs at a glance look like this. Who's your NFL team? Mine's the 49ers. We're not even in the playoffs. I have no idea who the Niners will draft. They rarely draft players from Alabama. The last guy that they drafted was Cam Latu. Clearly that didn't work out. You know, it's been amazing to see. Look, Jalen hasn't thrown that many touchdowns, but Jalen is still winning games in the NFL. Jalen is still rolling with the Eagles. Look, last night I was look. You see Landon Dickerson, Devontae Smith. All right, so many Bama guys. It's crazy. Bama needs their own channel in the NFL. Here's a look at the NFL playoffs. So you got Houston. Oh, by the way, we have to talk about D'Amico Ryans. Damn, man, what a coach. Hey, Ebony Carter, what's up? I see you inside the comment box. Sean, what's going on? Jeremiah, Joe, Daniel, Marvin, Corey, North Alabama Storm Chase. D'Amico Ryans, thumbs up for D'Amico Ryans. This guy with a younger quarterback is doing absolute work. Yo, this Houston and Kansas City game is going to be absolutely good to watch because you have this elite defense going up against Patty Mahomes and everything that he has. But it's still amazing to see D'Amico Ryans coach at this level. Remember when we thought D'Amico Ryans would maybe come to Alabama? Yo, D'Amico Ryans is like one of the best coaches that there is right now. Shoot, man. And that defense is so good, and William Anderson is so good. God, you know who else was playing really well outside of William Anderson was Henry Toto, right? Toa. He's doing work for it. And I saw John Mechie. I think John Mechie had a catch or two. Baltimore and Buffalo. Man, I don't know. That game. Poof, I don't know who wins that game. Buffalo is so good. They have so many weapons. And Washington and Detroit. Man, Detroit's, if Detroit has both their running backs, I think they're like almost unstoppable. Jane Daniels he's been it. I'm taking Detroit. And then tonight we have Minnesota playing. Who are they playing tonight? The winner plays Philadelphia. So anyways, that's they play Los Angeles, right? All right. So and I was starting to look at like NFL mock drafts. This is just something that I picked up just before I got on the show. This is from CBS Sports. These are just like the early round picks. Cam Ward, look at him to going number 1 to the Titans. Travis Hunter going out to the Giants. But as you start to dive in, more of mock drafts, I'm seeing less and less Alabama guys. It's crazy. And look, do you think, before I move on from this, do you think that Coach Prime will go to the Raiders? It kind of seems like that. Do you think there's smoke to that? It kind of seems like that's going to happen. I don't know. I wouldn't be mad about it. I would like to see it, to be honest. All right. So Monday morning quarterback. I asked you guys to post questions inside the community tab. So these are the questions that I'm going to go over. I'll answer them as 100% honest and transparent. If I didn't answer some of your questions, it's because they kind of fell within the realm of some of these other questions. So don't take offense if I didn't like list your actual like question on here. But let's start out at the top. Most impactful transfer and worst portal loss. I think that the most impactful transfer coming in, while I want to say Isaiah Horton at the wide receiver spot, I kind of feel that, this Cam Calhoun, as for right now, might play a little bit more of an impactful role. What's up, CPTN? And just hear me out. Because look, the wide receiver room was going to be good regardless of who came in or who you didn't get. But I think like from the Husky position, bringing in an experienced player like Cam Calhoun from a defense that is pretty good, I'm excited about it. You lose Devontae Smith and everybody coming on the defense, all you really needed to replace was that Husky position. That's why I feel that if Cam Calhoun can come in and be ready to play at a high level, he might be the most impactful guy coming in. I'm also thinking about maybe Cam Dewberry at the guard position, right? Just because there's going to be competition with Tyler Booker going out. I think if you talk to some people, they probably feel that Cam Dewberry would be the starter today. It's a good question. I'm not overly excited about the transfers coming in. I'm really not. I don't think it's like that. I feel that last year's transfers during that spring window, I was excited about those guys. I'm not as excited about the transfers coming in yet. There are a couple of them, I'm sure, but like some of the other guys, they feel kind of just like reserve pieces. That's just my take. I don't want to like sunshine pump and be like, all these guys are amazing coming in. You were going to, Jay Washington, the guy looks great for running back, but you already have running backs. Isaiah Horton looks great at wide receiver. You already have wide receivers. Jordan Bernard coming back. So is Ryan Williams. Jalen Mbakwe, you have him. Kelby Collins at bandit position. But you got LT Overton coming back. You see what I'm saying? Someone's asking me down here in a second about Nakai Hill Green. Like, okay, you got Justin Jefferson and Deontay Lawson. So those are kind of like depth pieces from the portal. See what I'm saying? I think worst portal loss. I was thinking about it. I think this is a really interesting question. Who do you think the biggest loss was in the portal? And I know the way that we're looking at the portal, you're always like, man, if they ain't wearing crimson, screw them or whatever, which is fine. But was there are there guys that you lost that you think would have made an impact this year? I don't know. While I want to say like Hayden is like Justice Haynes, man, the running back room is still good without him. So I don't know. The other one I was thinking about too was like, this is a really weird one. Elijah Pritchett. Okay, you're like, what? You just hear me out. Until you get a tackle in here, you lost the starter at right tackle for every single game, and the guy behind him is worse than Pritchett was. So now you have Wilcom Formby. Look, I love Wilcom Formby from Tuscaloosa, Taco Casa guy. I love him. But in terms of like on the field, damn, like Darren's like, that was the best portal loss. Probably so. But until you get like a right tackle in here that can be like the solidified starter, which I think there will be, unless they do some offensive line shifting. I know, but it's crazy. You're like, what? Elijah Pritchett? I know. Joe, I don't know if Formby was better than Pritchett. You know, I hope he turns out to be better than him. But damn. And then, but I think the biggest one too is just like you guys are saying inside the comment box is Justin Okoronkwo. But you lose him, and while he's like a depth piece, you lose a future starter, just like a Caleb Odom, right? You lose probably a future starter at the wide receiver position. So I think Okoronkwo, um, I think Caleb Odom, I guess Justice Haynes, and I guess Elijah Pritchett. Everybody else, like Devontae Smith, the guy is a great piece to the team, but I think he can be replaced with Cam Calhoun or whoever, at that Husky position. I don't know. Interesting to think about, but I don't think you lost like one guy that was going to be like, like a Caleb Downs. You didn't lose anybody like that, right? Like if you would have lost, I don't know, like who would have been like losing like if you would have lost, you know what? I was thinking about this too. Alabama, when they wanted to, if they really wanted to keep somebody, they found a way to keep him. They really did. And the perfect example to this is Jalen Mbakwe. Because I'll tell you what, if Jalen Mbakwe would have transferred out, he would have been the biggest loss. Even though we don't know like if he's going to be a starter as a wide receiver or if he was even going to be a starter in the secondary, we know what he's capable of. Like 100,000,000%. Jalen Mbakwe is like that guy. And I don't think it's so much that he's like best friends with Brian. I think he's just a baller. And I think Alabama knew they're like, we can't afford to lose him. Let's figure out how to keep him. That is really I think they tried to fight for Justin Okoronkwo too, and rightfully so. I get that. But I think at the end of the day, they really figured out a way to keep Jalen Mbakwe because they knew that he was the most important player to hit the transfer portal besides all these other guys. Just my opinion. All right. Do you expect Ty Simpson to be the man or Keelon Russell? J Sports Cars. What's up, man? The other thing, like nobody talks about Austin Mack. I don't know, he's going to be like the new, I guess, Dylan Lonergan that people just don't talk about. I don't know. Austin Mack looked pretty good to me the times that I saw him. He's a guy that was directly brought in by Coach Kalen DeBoer that fits this system that we think we're going to see. I haven't really seen him move around the pocket. We just haven't seen those opportunities yet from him. But between Ty, I think he comes in and he's the starter in the springtime. Yeah, I think the first guy that runs out with the first team and the first guys that taking snaps, I think it's going to be Ty Simpson. And I think after that, it's going to be Austin Mack. And then after that, I think it's going to be Keelon Russell for the springtime. Like that's just how it's going to work in the springtime. As the players go through development, working with their team individually during the summertime, they take their team to Tampa or whatever they do. I think come August, we'll know more about this quarterback position battle. And I think these guys will definitely duel it out in the spring game. But just because somebody does well or doesn't do well in the spring game, that doesn't always dictate the starter, especially at the quarterback position. But this is the biggest question mark going forward in the SEC is who is going to be Alabama's quarterback? And is it going to be Ty Simpson, somebody who is playing the long game? Is it going to be the dark horse Austin Mack? Or is it going to be the number one quarterback coming in from high school football in Keelon Russell? We will know soon as in like 2 months, if Alabama, how serious they are about that right tackle position. And they have to be. I mean, we know this. They know this. Come on. And if they can find somebody to protect the quarterback position, then it's a big boost to the offense because you have so many other components already coming back. But if you don't have a right tackle, it doesn't matter if it's Ty Simpson or Keelon Russell or Austin Mack or if Quinn Ewers somehow transfers to Alabama, they will absolutely get crushed. It will be terrible if Alabama doesn't get a right tackle to protect our valuable quarterbacks. But I expect Ty to be the quarterback for the springtime, and I expect does that mean he's going to be the quarterback for the entire season? I don't know. Probably not. I think Coach Kalen DeBoer this year coming up will make changes at the quarterback position if he needs to. So I guess we'll have to see what happens. But I think Ty Simpson is capable. We haven't seen opportunities from him. Austin Mack, really haven't seen opportunities from him. But Keelon Russell, I mean, there's no way to get it twisted. This guy absolutely looks the part. Got to get a little bit more weight on him. But that's really the only positive criticism. And then the next question, kind of the same percentages that Keelon would be the starter. By the end of the season, Keelon. I think that I don't know. I mean, I think that the starter, as I said, will be Ty Simpson. I think by the end of the season or the middle of the season, it'll be up to Coach Kalen DeBoer to make changes. Was his injury serious, Kyle? Joel, what's up, man? Who are you talking about? Are you talking about Keelon? Keelon Russell just got like his ankle like rolled up on. It's like very like light injury. I think he was fine even to go back to that All-Star game. All right. Christopher is saying Ty's going to be the start of the whole season, bro. Maybe so. Yeah. Wouldn't that be something, right? I mean, we've been in this. What's crazy is we've been in this exact same position before when Mac Jones was coming back and Bryce Young had just got here. The exact nothing is different at all. It's the exact same situation. And for everybody that wanted Bryce to start, and Bryce never complained about it. Bryce wasn't ready, and there was nothing wrong with that. And Mac just completely balled out and had a perfect season. Coach Saban's had two of them. Mac Jones led one of them. Mac Jones was crazy good, man. That dude was I didn't know when Mac Jones stepped in that he had that competitive nature about him. I know that he comes from a sports family. Sister played tennis. He is from Jacksonville, but he kind of always seemed almost like, not necessarily soft, just I never really saw how that fiery spirit. When that dude was ready to ball out, man, it was business. And I know, the NFL, whatever, but here, he took care of business. In 2020, there was no playing around. Mac Jones was absolutely it. It was crazy. But we always do this. You have a 5-star quarterback coming in. How are we not going to want to see the guy play? Like, that's what, we're accustomed to that. And look, what we like to see is a 5-star come in like Ryan Williams and do what Ryan Williams did. Does that always happen? No, but it can happen. But when Keelon Russell when it's his time, I think he'll be ready to go 1,000,000%. Yeah, Ty's a 5-star too. Good point out, Chris. All right. Let's see. How much improvement in 2025? What needs to be the priorities? Tobin, what's up, man? There needs to be a lot of improvement on each side of the football. And I know you're bringing back all your defensive starters. Sometimes that's not a good thing. I think it's a good thing in this particular case. I like all the defensive players coming back. There's not one player coming back that I'm like, I feel that the players that they added to from the portal, like Nakai Hill-Green, I think he'll be a solid addition at inside linebacker. I think Cam Calhoun will be really good. I like the safeties, Keon Sabb and Bray Hubbard. I like the corners, Xavier Brown, Damani Jackson, LT Overton, Tim Keenan, James Smith. That's a hell of a defense, right? So defense needs to absolutely improve in terms of making adjustments to teams that are effectively able to find ways to move the football in Alabama. Coach Kane Womack didn't do that this past season. Listen to what I just said, okay? The teams that were still running the same plays from the Vanderbilt game, again, like later on in the season, they were hurting Alabama. Now, Womack has all of his guys. Now it's on him to be able to make adjustments when a team finds out how to move the football in Alabama, right? That's where you need to improve. The priorities, everybody knows, say it with me, the right tackle position and the offensive line play and figuring out how to run the football. Now, will running the football be a priority with this quarterback that we feel that can operate the offense at a higher level? I would hope so. You have some very talented running backs on this team. I feel that these running backs, there's nothing. It doesn't have to be like one or the other. You don't have to be like super pass heavy and that take away from the run. Like, look at Ohio State. Ohio State has 2 running backs, if I'm not mistaken, that are close to 1,000 yards, or they just went over 1,000 yards. And I get it. They played, 16 games, but you get my point. They were able to feed 2 running backs and still feed their wide receivers with Will Howard. Joe Rice is like, doesn't matter, man. Just get the ball up to Ryan Williams. He's got to get fed too. The more you get the football to Ryan Williams, the better things are going to happen. That guy is, we've never seen anything. This guy is just so different. I can't wait to see what he does in year 2. I don't want to see him grow up. It's going to be so sad when Ryan Williams leaves from here. I don't even want to think about it. I'm trying to just savor that type of talent here at Alabama. Right tackle, being able to run the football. Let's see, not being so predictable on offense. I'll tell you what, one of the things that I noticed in watching the college football playoffs, and I think you've seen the same thing. Teams were able to, it seemed like teams were way more creative with their offensive play calling. Nothing like crazy, not like, zip around, reverse passes and stuff. I'm talking like running back screens. I'm talking like 4th and 1, throwing a screen to Tyler Warren, your 6'6", 250-pound tight end, getting your best players the football, featuring Cam Scatterbo, right? So Alabama has to, I feel they weren't creative. I wasn't impressed overall with the offensive play calling, specifically in the red zone. The red zone play calling for this Alabama football team, I didn't like it at all. Did you? We got, do you think Nakai Hill-Green will be a big piece? Yeah, I do. And I think early on, because I don't know the health status of Deontay Lawson, he had a leg injury, let's call it like a knee. I don't know if that's for sure, but I think, I would imagine that he's probably not ready for spring. Now, again, I have no idea on that. I could be 100% wrong. I'm just saying, if he's not ready for spring, think of him to be your starting inside linebacker along with Justin Jefferson. So from a rep standpoint, you get a ton of reps with Nakai Hill-Green and Justin Jefferson. And some of those other inside linebackers can step up now that, Sterling Dixon's gone, Jeremiah Alexander's gone, Justin Okoronkwo's gone. Watch for Caden Jones. On our watch list, write that name down right now. Caden Jones. He'll be one to watch for sure. Not playing. I'm serious. I want to see QB Reese and then the linebackers that got in, right? Abdul Sanders, Luke Metz, and Daryl Juke Johnson, right? Yo, Caden Jones is good, man. People don't really talk about him. I think he had more tackles than Justin Okoronkwo. I'm not saying that he's better than Okoronkwo, but I'm saying he's talented. You just don't talk about him. He don't get talked about enough. And then will the defense improve? Well, yeah, I just talked about that. It's talking about the defense being better because of the guys that you have coming back. It's just now about schematics being able to stop, offenses that figure out a way to move the football. And I think, honestly, when you look to Alabama's overall schedule, you're going to face a lot of quarterbacks that have a lot of experience. But I think Alabama's defense will be ready for it because you have a secondary that is experienced. Keon Sabb returns. He'll be healthy. Bray Hubbard, my goodness, the way that he was able to play. Damani Jackson, Xavier Brown, Cam Calhoun, Deshaun Jones, Zay Mincy, right? Drake Kirkpatrick coming up. Ivan Taylor. There's so many names in the defensive secondary that I'm excited about. Dejon Lee, Mustard, right? Chuck McDonald, he'll get here this summer. So a lot of components to work with. And I know you're all here because you want to, learn more about Ryan Grubb. I haven't heard anything on Ryan Grubb. If we do, we go live. That's significant news. Haven't heard anything about it. But the biggest thing for Alabama football is they're going to have a different quarterback. That's it. That's the biggest thing. The biggest thing for Alabama football in 2025 was the fact that they will have a different quarterback. You had the same quarterback 2 years in a row with Bryce Young. You had the same quarterback 2 years in a row with Jalen Milroe. And those quarterbacks were not able to win a national title, right? So it always goes back to the quarterback. It always goes back to the head football coach. You have another quarterback this year coming in. That is the most interesting aspect of the entire season. I wouldn't imagine we see a lot of movement in terms of who's going to be the starter in the springtime. I think it's going to be a position battle that takes a little bit long. I don't know if it'll be like the great cake bake-off, right? When Coach Saban wouldn't name who the quarterback is going to be. But I think the right thing to do is to name the starter and then have that starter lead this team. And if that starter cannot get the job done, you pray that Coach Kalen DeBoer can look past the fire in this guy's eyes and put another player in to give them opportunities. So that's where we're at. The biggest question, of course, is how will the new quarterback fare with probably the same offensive coordinator in 2025, which is Nick Sheridan. Nick Sheridan will have another year as well. None of these coaches coach in the SEC. This is the first year for those guys as well. I appreciate you guys being here today on my Monday show, live as news happens. Look for other videos to be uploaded to the channel and probably more college football content as we get through January and February and work our way towards the springtime. I don't even think I said it today, but we got 290 on. So if you could just drop a thumbs up on this video, I'd really appreciate it. Please continue to support all the great content creators out there, big platform, small platform, all those guys doing an amazing job. For those asking about my puppy, we're trending in a good direction. You know, I think it's going to be something that takes months to get her back up to speed. But she is home. We continue to monitor her. If you missed it, my dog, Lil Pearl, was at the Birmingham Emergency Center for, I think, about 7 days. So pets are family, and I appreciate you guys checking in. Coming to you from beautiful Tuscaloosa, Alabama on this beautiful Monday, January 13th, Kyle Henderson and Bama Football on YouTube. If you're joining us on the rewatch, thanks for watching. You can also listen on iTunes and Spotify. I usually upload it, a couple hours after this. So thanks for being here. I appreciate you one more time, and have a beautiful rest of your day. See you, fam.